Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Kent City Council Special Council Meeting for Tuesday, November 28th, 2023. If everyone could please rise and join me for the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kim, could you please call the roll?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mayor Ralph.
Here.
Council President Boyce.
Here.
Councilmember Fincher.
Here.
Councilmember Kaur.
Here.
Councilmember Larmer.
Here.
Councilmember Michaud.
Here.
Councilmember Thomas.
Here.
Councilmember Troutner.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have one item on our agenda this evening, and it is a public hearing on the resolution concurring in Auburn annexation of the bridges. This has been a very, very long process, Council. We've had many meetings, conversations. I cannot begin to tell you the amount of staff work that has gone into getting us to this point over what feels like an eternity. So really, really excited to be at this point. So we've got one last very official act. We will now hold the public hearing on a resolution concurring in the City of Auburn's annexation of the Bridges neighborhood beginning January 1st, 2024. Staff will give a presentation, and then I'll invite the public to provide testimony, written statements, and other evidence. Public input must relate to the subject of the public hearing, and council members may ask questions during the hearing. If you're here to testify on the matter of this public hearing, you can sign up at the front of the room. With that, we will now open the public hearing, and I will ask Matt Gilbert to provide the presentation.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, council members, for being here this evening for the special meeting. It's indeed the last, hopefully the end of a long road that we've been on since 2019 to kind of fulfill a long-standing, I think, expectation from the community that this island of Kent that's surrounded by Auburn can become part of Auburn, where I think people there feel like they belong, city identity. I want to go through the annexation process a little bit. I don't think we've been through this lately, so I just want to run through it for the record. Annexations in Washington are allowed to be council initiated, like what we've done here. The Auburn City Council has initiated this annexation. Officially, they initiated that in 2023, just back in September. They then filed an application with the King County Boundary Review Board, who reviewed the application, reviewed the particulars of the transfer, and concluded their review just today. We received notice today that that was done, so we have the green light to proceed. Part of this, as I presented just at the beginning of the month, is an interlocal agreement between the City of Kent and the City of Auburn, which handles the finer points, details of the transfer in terms of infrastructure, fire service, police service, public records, code enforcement, permitting, all of that. There's a lot to that. I'm sure you had a chance to take a look. We're very comfortable with that as staff, that will provide a nice, smooth transition. So then the final step in the annexation would be for the City of Kent to pass a resolution to concur with Auburn's action. So that's what we're here to consider tonight. I've been over a lot of these milestones with you. We really kicked this off back in 2019 with discussions between the staffs and the mayors to, again, make this something, this annexation has been discussed, I think, for a long time in the background. There are a lot of details that we've worked through with the City of Auburn, mostly related to infrastructure. They've had a lot of questions. We've provided a lot of answers to them. And then we've worked through the legislative process where the City of Auburn has kind of given the green light to their staff progressively to walk through this officially, for staff to consider, to file an application with the Boundary Review Board. And the Kent City Council has kind of been in lockstep with Auburn throughout the process. So as I said, we've come to a very major milestone just today with the Boundary Review Board concluding their review. So something I haven't talked a lot about in past presentations has been the amount of neighborhood outreach that we've done. We've had 3 major events over the last couple of years in 21, 22, and 22 primarily with, I think we started in February of 22 on it was a day like today. I think it was a Sunday. There was some concern that was, as this word of the annexation was out in the community, and I remember Chad was there, some representatives from PD were there, Mayor and I, and communications team were shivering for a couple of hours, and it was windy too. So this is a nice photo from July when Mayor Backus and Mayor Ralph were there to answer questions. We had a good turnout and lots of ice cream served that day. We also published a joint website with the City of Auburn where we had 14 frequently asked questions. We got good feedback that was very helpful. We answered every question that we were hearing in as much detail as we could at the time. The point I want to make with the public outreach is that it resulted, or we published a survey after National Night Out in 2022 where we asked, how the neighborhood, the Bridges neighborhood was feeling about the prospect of annexation. We got, I think, a third of all of the households responded, which is actually a nice turnout for a survey. And 76% of the respondents were in favor of this annexation. Following that survey, the Homeowners Association took official action to endorse the annexation. So we felt very good about that the community is with us on this. So as we talked about last time, we've surplused the wetland tracts. That's something that's on your consent agenda tonight, to transfer those to the future homeowners, or the Homeowners Association, of the southern 13 acres that is yet to be developed. So that's something we'll be wrapping up tonight. Looks like I left out a slide. I wanted you to know that for tonight's hearing, we have published, we mailed actually to a very broad radius. You may remember back in 2021 that there was a lot of concern. There was a comprehensive plan amendment that was under consideration that was ultimately tabled, but there was a lot of concern from the neighborhood that there were decisions about the bridges that were being made by the City of Kent, where really people felt the City of Auburn should do that. So we informed all those folks within 1,000 feet of the bridges, including the bridges of this hearing tonight. We heard no comments. I got no calls. I suspect that's because Auburn is currently undertaking an effort to zone and establish comprehensive plan designation for that 13 acres. So folks in Auburn are having input on the future of that area through the Auburn City Council and through their process. So I think that's a win for everybody, and that's something that will become effective if this goes through tonight. So again, the resolution will become effective on January 1st of 2024. So with that, I will just give you my enthusiastic recommendation on the part of this entire staff and mayor that I hope that you'll vote in favor of this resolution tonight. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Matt. Councilmember Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Matt, all the street signs presently have Kent on them. Has Auburn agreed to change those to their system?
Yeah, Auburn will take responsibility for those streets, yes. And as far as the street signs themselves, I believe Auburn will go switch those out to match their standard.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Councilmember Larmer.
Matt, question from a resident. So effective January 1, so there's no other steps happening, or is there anything have to happen on Auburn's side, or is this the residents there are officially going to be in Auburn January 1?
That's a true statement. There are a number of steps outlined in the interlocal agreement as far as things like transferring records and administrative items that we will follow up on. Once that's effective, we'll probably get a head start on that, just as soon as possible. But yes, so January 1.
January 1, they are covered by Auburn Auburn Utilities.
Correct.
Okay.
No. Utilities.
Oh, I'm sorry. The water system will remain the City of Kent. That's something that that's connected with our current system. We're keeping that. As far as when they think of government services in general, that they will be part of Auburn, under Auburn's jurisdiction, but there is some crossover with utilities.
Just like we've got different water districts that serve in the city, that will continue to be the same, but everything else is Auburn.
Thanks, Mayor.
Okay. Other questions? Okay. Kim, do we have anybody signed up?
We do not.
All right. Do we have any written comments?
No.
All right. So at this point, we will close the motion would be in order to close the public hearing.
Second.
Let me try this again. So move.
I'll try it again. Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. With that, the public hearing is now closed. Council, any discussion or debate? All right, seeing none, a motion would be in order to adopt Resolution 2068.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am happy to put forward a motion to adopt resolution number 2068, concurring in the City of Auburn's annexation of the Bridges neighborhood, effective January 1st, 2024, and authorizing the mayor to take all action and sign all documents necessary to complete the annexation, subject to final terms acceptable to the Economic and Community Development Director and City Attorney.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Madam Mayor.
Council President.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to recognize the council member. Really, I think if we go back to 2019, there was a lot of conversation that we had about this here on Zoom, right? And really, just these type of things, 2 years ago, I think we were trying to think what's best for the city. And some of these things takes a while to come to fruition, right? So I just think, at the time, it was the right thing, even though we had a lot of people was probably not disagreeing with us, but just for us to being able to stick to it, and we make these tough decisions now or in the future, we really got to think about what's best for the city, and this year turned out to be the best thing. So just want to say kudos to the council member as we look at these type of decisions and really just looking out forward as we make them. So thank you.
All right. Any other discussion? Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
It feels like there should be applause.
So I've got a lot of things that I want to say. I want to give it over to Pat first.
Yeah, I just want to personally thank staff on this. I can't express to you how much time and energy staff put into this. This was a super, super heavy lift. It's complicated. I don't know if this county has ever dealt with an annexation like this before. Matt and his crew and Chad and his crew and Tammy and her crew, they did a fantastic job. So many meetings, so much paper had to be produced to make this happen, and our whole goal was to get this done on January 1, and they nailed it. So, literally in the nick of time. So, they just did a fantastic job. So I'm super, super, super proud to be part of that team. So thanks, you guys.
So exactly what Pat said, the amount of work that has gone into this, the meetings, the technical details, and the willingness to continue to go through those technical details and take on the change, the back and forth with Auburn staff. I want to say how proud I am of everyone on the Kent team for really taking the lead on this. In a lot of places, you all are incredible. This has been so much work. And way back in 2018, Mayor Backus and I had a conversation about why it didn't make sense for this island of Kent to be in Auburn. And we heard that from the residents. There was confusion about where they lived and who their city was. My concern was consistently, I don't want them to think that we don't want them. But the reality is it doesn't make sense for them to be a part of Kent. So figuring out what that path looked like, and it was a lot of meetings, a lot of conversations, a lot of heated meetings that council lived through with people not maybe necessarily understanding process and where we were and how we went through it, and just real perseverance and figuring out all of the details, the infrastructure pieces and the conversations with Auburn on the utilities and what we had done and what our systems looked like and what they were taking on, and the legal descriptions and the documents and the boundary review board and all the work that Tammy and her team and Matt has really been the lead for us on this for so much of this. I can't say enough. I am very, very grateful, very sad that we are losing a group of residents who have been actively engaged in Kent. I think we really need to be grateful for the residents and the time that they spent. We've had many residents that have lived in the Bridges neighborhood that have served on boards and commissions and provided very valuable input to our community. And on that front, I am very, very sad to say goodbye to them, knowing that Auburn is receiving a really good community, people that want to make their city a better place. So sad to see them go, but this is one of those cases where it really just makes sense. Right? It just makes sense to clear up the confusion and the ability to provide those services, right? I was talking to our leadership team at the police department today for our police officers to leave Kent to come back to Kent, right? That doesn't make sense. For our water team, for our streets, all of those things. So this just, it's a better solution, but want to say thank you to the residents there for being a part of Kent for the time that they were. And again, thank you to council for sticking with us through this whole process, and heartfelt thanks to all of the staff for making this happen. There were days where I was like, I'm done. We're out. We're just going to, this isn't going to happen. But we made it. So thank you very, very much.
Your Honor, we have two islands up on the Kent Des Moines Road that are, Your Honor, we have two islands that are on the Kent Des Moines Road that are not in the city of Kent. They're just by themselves. Has there been any movement getting those people into Kent? There has been in the past, but it's gone down because they just, whatever reasons. But I just wondered if there's anything right now, because you look at that map and you go, what are those white spots up there? You know.
No recent conversation on those areas. In the past, those areas have not been annexed in the city because those residents have not had interest in joining.
Right, that's been a long time ago.
And I have not heard anything from them, but, certainly something we could certainly take a look at in the future, but nothing current.
Okay.
So. All right. With that, we do have two items on our consent calendar, items A and B. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. That brings us to item number 5. It is now 5:18, and we will be.
5:17, man.
This meeting is adjourned.
See you.